Hey, welcome in, y'all. So today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 heroes to introduce a friend to, based on my experience on introducing friends to Marvel Champions. So we'll kick off and we'll start with number 5. And this one is number 5 was tough to land on because I was pretty confident in the top 4, and then the fifth one, there's so many heroes in the game, you know. So anyway, we're going to kick it off with Cyclops. And the reason why it's going to go against like my reasoning for a lot of the other ones, but honestly, it's mostly because of his like 50 Shades of X-Men deck that's on Marvel CDB that I'll show you in a second here. So between this one, I was also considering a few others. One being Wolverine, um, but what I've found, because certain advice too is more like a new player, you want them attacking, and they're going to want to attack and like deal damage because it's fun in Marvel Champions, especially when you're starting out. But the thing about Wolverine is that new players, when they typically play, they're really protective of their health, right? So you don't really want to be. It's like too, I don't know, scary, or people get more hesitant when they're trying to like take health to use Wolverine's claws. So that's kind of one of those things with new players, and I was the same way. You get really protective of your health, and Wolverine kind of combats that. So one deck that is just one of my favorites in general is the 50 Shades of X-Men deck, and I mean this has been around for what 2 years now, so it's awesome. It was one of the early decks with Cyclops that came out, and other than like the two thing new players that like to do typically is you have them attacking or just like throwing down allies to help you out. And so this helps you throw down a ton of the allies and do all kinds of cool stuff. And with it being a 50 card deck, you're not running out of cards as often. So it's like you're not worrying about the new player having to like get extra encounter cards as much. But then this deck, right, it's a little older, so if you can plug and play pretty much whoever you want in here, right? There's gonna be this inspiration for a ton of different decks in here. So yeah, that would be number 5. Number 4 that we have is going to be Captain Marvel. So you can't go wrong with a core box like standard, just awesome hero, and Captain Marvel is just that. What she does is just so much, like especially for a new player, having the a player draw a card, so having them get more cards and more resources, which Captain Marvel is not short on, helps so much. And I had my wife play this recently as Captain Marvel, and she really enjoyed it. And it just like makes sense when you're just like, hey, let's focus on attacking, getting down allies, and doing like the fun stuff. So a deck that I pulled up for Captain Marvel was this one, mostly because it was published recently and I like seeing like newer decks. Um, but this is similar to my recent playthrough video for the decision making workshop, where I found this by searching for Captain Marvel aggression that included boot camp. So yeah, just like this kind of deck build where we can take a look at this. You get your allies. Um, Honestly, one thing like I probably wouldn't include if it was like, hey, a new player, is stuff to do, like doing things during the villain phase, activating actions and cards. I would tend to avoid that with like new players unless it's something like canceling treachery cards or things like that, like very straightforward. But like you'll pay for that is after the villain attacks you, remove 1 scheme for each damage you took from that attack. I like that card with Captain Marvel because you're wanting people to attack you. And so, I mean, maybe we would have it here for a new player, but like in general, I like keeping it just, hey, let's do stuff during the player phase and let the villain do their thing. So yeah, that's number 4, Captain Marvel. And so number 3, I went back and forth with like where to rank a lot of these, but number 3 is based on just a pure reaction I saw from someone getting to play the game for the first time, and that was with Thor. So I know Thor's not like everyone's favorite hero, but I think that comes from a lot of solo disappointment. But in multiplayer, Thor is so good. He's so much fun because you get to be Thor. You don't have to worry about all the other stuff around him. You just get to be Thor. You get to go grab his hammer, throw his hammer, and do hammer things. And that's what you want your friends to be doing if they're playing Thor. So I played this with some friends, and all for the first time. And one of them was like, I need to play this game more. And he was playing as Thor. So if we go look at the deck that I pulled up for him, it's going to be aggression as like, you know, all of these are like I typically will go aggression. The Cyclops one is just because that's just such an awesome deck for him. But if we look at Thor, we were swinging. I mean, this one I just pulled up like the most liked type of deals and like things that I was like, hey, yeah, that's cool. But you can plug and play most cards, whatever you want in here. But the idea is just the same. You get to do, I feel like it has to be a multiplayer because they have Get Over Here on this. But yeah, I like the simpleness in a way of like, you get your mean swings, you get your skilled strikes, and you're just like smashing damage with this. What's like Battle Fury, if they have this down, then you defeat a minion, you deal damage, you ready your hero. I don't know, things like that. It seemed like a fun deck. I've never like played this personally, but it just like it seems like it would be great for a first time player. I'll mention as a piece in here too, like one thing to look for in like when you're introducing friends to the game is don't be too concerned about using the kind of original core set cards that don't seem as efficient anymore. Like Haymaker, for example. I think there's definitely an aggression one that I can't think of right now, but just like there's an aggression one where you pay 3 to do 5 damage, and it's like, yeah, that's not efficient or whatnot, and hey, maybe your friend won't end up using that often, but it is nice to have just like the straightforward cards, and that's helpful with the aggression. So what are we on? That was number 3, and I like Thor a lot for new players, so that's a lot of these can be interchangeable, but we're gonna go up to number 2, which is gonna be Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, you'll notice too, all of these characters are all popular. They all have their movies, and you can't get more popular than Spider-Man. So it's like everyone knows Spider-Man, and playing as that character, you're gonna be like, oh, cool, I'm Spider-Man. So that's pretty much like one of the main reasons. And I mean, he was such a well-done hero in the core box and just in general. So what do we have here? I pulled up another Team Covenant one. This one's Always Be Swinging. Just looking at the different things they have here, but yeah, I mean, you get the idea here. A lot of just attacking, a lot of cool things. One thought that I did have was for new player support card wise, I saw like a lot of certain decks with like Avengers Mansion, and honestly, I don't think anyone who it's like their first time playing is going to look at Avengers Mansion and be like, I want to play that card. It's probably hard enough to get people to play Nick Fury, being the cost of 4, but like Mansion, where it's 4 cost, you're not seeing an immediate effect from it. Like, I don't think new players are going to want to play that card. I like to stick it to the exciting things and things like endurance on here. That's super straightforward. First aid, play 1, heal 2 damage, things like that. So keeping it like where you don't have to like burn a ton of brain power, and you just like, okay, yeah, they are burning a lot of brain power because they're learning the rules and how this game works, and it's so detailed, and like a lot of us, we've just been playing this for years, so it comes more natural for us. But that like, you got to put yourself in the shoes of a first-time player coming into this game again and thinking about, like when I started playing, I was making a ton of mistakes all the time, like not really knowing it, but it took like, a few years of just like watching gameplay videos and like really enjoying the game for me to be like, okay, yeah, I feel like I mastered this well. So yeah, anyway, Spider-Man, number 2. And then number 1 has been my number 1 since like very early in the game. This was typically who I would introduce friends to all the time, and that's going to be Captain America. And it's unfortunate now that like there's the out of print stuff, and everyone's rushing to get him for like $150 or something ridiculous like that. I will shout out with Captain America as well. If you're still listening to this, Web Warrior Fanatic is doing a giveaway right now, and he's giving away an Agents of Shield box and a Captain America pack. And so that's awesome. Honestly, like that's really cool. I signed up for it for fun, but I have both of those. So if I ended up winning, I would probably try to work with him on, hey, let's get that to someone who actually can use it. But it was just fun to do the giveaway stuff. So, but yeah, so thanks for Web Warrior for doing that. But yeah, so that's, I don't know, like I would not spend 100 over whatever dollars to do that, because like we have a perfect example of the Lord of the Rings, the card game, and we can look at what happens with that. And there's just like a ton of aftermarket reprints that you can get, and like yes, they're still not as like they're still pretty expensive, which is silly. But anyway, I wouldn't be rushing to get Captain America for like $150. It's wild. Unless you have that just to spend, and you can do whatever you want with it. But anyway, it just seems shady. But that with the scalping stuff and stuff is whatever. But I'll just say Captain America. Introduce your friends to him if you have them. And I felt good about this because he's the most like meat and potatoes like character, like the most well-rounded, the most Captain, like they nail Captain America on the head, like as far as gameplay experience goes, because it's just like he's so good. He's just like so solid. He does everything well, and he's super soldier. So I felt good about ranking him first as well after I looked at some of the decks, because one of the first ones that popped up was Captain America teaching deck. So you're teaching someone Marvel Champions. I was like, look at that. That's a perfect example or a perfect deck here. This person wrote this exactly of like with everyone else's thoughts. Like, hey, I'm teaching a friend Marvel Champions. Let's give them just like one of the best characters as far as just being able to do everything and understand everything goes. So we can look at this, and I love Dropkick. Like, especially when I started playing, like Dropkick was easily my favorite card. I know Dale the Casual Gamer would use it all the time, so I got pretty invested in looking at that and working with that. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. It works. So yeah, let's see. Into the Fray. I feel like new players aren't going to be using Into the Fray that much, but that's still fine. You have all kinds of things in here. Yeah, I like all this. I mean, yeah, all these things look good. It's Captain America. You cannot really go wrong. So this is a solid deck. And then I pulled up another one that's based on just another boot camp deck. He would be a good character to also just like throw in boot camp if you want, but he doesn't need the ally help necessarily, but this would still be good as well. So that's our video. That's all the content that I had. Again, definitely go check out Web Warriors giveaway, and if you're playing or if you're watching this as like a new player and you want to see what should I do to learn the game, these are some great characters to start with. And I mean, you're already going to have Spider-Man and Captain Marvel. I know Thor's still pretty widely available, and Cyclops is, as far as I know, widely available. It's just like the Captain America, Doctor Stranges of the world. But I mean, that's going to happen to every single one of these heroes. Just sure more so, but like Thor's a huge hero. As people, you can look at it the same as like Lord of the Rings, the card game. It's like, yeah, I want those original packs, but I started getting into the game like last year, so I'm just not going to do that. But that's going to happen to like every piece of content that comes out here. Eventually it's going to get, they're not going to be printing it, and despite, we wish they would continue printing their popular stuff, but I mean, we gotta trust that, Fantasy Flight does so well with all their products, and all the, just all their stuff that they do is great. So it's easy enough to just trust and enjoy the ride. So thank you for joining along and enjoying this ride. So yeah, please like and comment and subscribe. That definitely helps, and it keeps my motivation going for continuing to make content. And yeah, this is great. This is just a good like hobby for me, and I get to, you know, share something that I love with all of y'all. So thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.